home music collection, as well as that of our next artist who, boy, about 10, 15 years ago, he and his bandmates really shook up Nashville when they got signed. They were discovered in a boot store playing in Nashville, Tennessee, and we're going to explore that story a little bit because it's pretty famous in the storybook that comes out of Nashville. This is one of those bands that just has an incredible backstory. He's one of the founding members, and he's got a new CD called My Old Guitar. It's an honor to have him here. Please welcome Gary Bennett to the Woodsongs, Old Time Radio.
Well, do you remember, baby, how we used to carry on? Couldn't get along without you, now I just can't get along with you. Pulling on my ear and yelling, telling me exactly how to be. You're the prettiest thing I've ever seen, but baby, you are never nice to me. Well, the honeymoon was over on the day we said I do. When you said you would, I didn't know what you would do. Would be to turn this thing around. You always have to disagree. You're the prettiest thing I've ever seen, but baby, you are never nice to me. Well, you say I mean so much to you, then you set out on a spree. How could anybody be mean so much to me? So if you make the call, I won't be long at all. I'm wrapped around your finger, but my back's against the wall. All my days are filled with you, giving me the third degree. You're the prettiest thing I've ever seen, but baby, you are never nice to me. Well, you say I mean so much to you, then you set out on a spree. How could anybody be mean so much to me? So if you make the call, I won't be long at all. I'm wrapped around your finger, but my back's against the wall. All my days are filled with you, giving me the third degree. You're the prettiest thing I've ever seen, but baby, you are never nice to me. Yeah, you're the prettiest thing I've ever seen, but baby, you are never nice to me.
From the new album by Gary Bennett, My Old Guitar. Gary, thanks for coming. It's nice to have you here.
Oh, it's great to be here finally.
Your first time on our broadcast, and we're really excited. Br5-49, legacy band. It's a wonderful, amazing story. You were actually born in Las Vegas, and I've never met anybody actually born in Las Vegas.
I lived there for about 2 weeks. I think they stopped for me to be born, and we just hit the road after that.
Just kept going after that. So
I know I was in Texas by the time I was 2 weeks old.
So you're technically a Texas boy.
Started out there, yeah.
Okay. And when did you move to Nashville? What was the decision to move to Nashville?
Well, I moved up. I was living in the Northwest. I really grew up mostly in the closest town to Mount St. Helens, a little town called Cougar, Washington, which is a logging town, about 100 people when I was there. And I was related to about 50 of them. And by the time I left, I was related to about 75 of them. And that was 1993.
Very prolific family.
Yeah, very large family. Filled up a town. But I played in bands in Portland, Oregon for about 4 or 5 years before I moved to Nashville. And, you know, it was just there's not a lot for a songwriter in that town. You can make like any town in the United States, you can make a living playing in bars, playing Merle Haggard songs and the stuff you love and grew up on. But I had written songs since I was a small kid, and that's really where my head was at. So Nashville seemed to be the place. And I left there in '93 and moved to Nashville.
So you moved to Nashville and you tried your hands at the coffee houses and the little honky tonks. It's hard to attract an audience in Nashville. There's so much out there.
Yeah, it was. Well, the thing about Nashville is that as a kid growing up, you build up to be sort of a big, scary monster in your head. You got to go to it's got to be in Nashville, or certain other forms of art, New York or L.A. But Nashville seemed as big to me as those places. And once I got there, it's like you think, then what? There's no book or where to start, and no money behind me or anything at that time. And started going to songwriter nights around town. And some of them were better than others, but mostly it was 2 songs a night, and I'd been used to playing a lot more than that. So I got itching to play and started hanging out down those bars down on Lower Broadway, kind of seedy then.
Well, eventually you made your way to Robert's Western World, which is literally a boot store.
It was a boot store that sold beer at that time. Well, they had
boots and beer. You can't get much more country than that.
What more do you need? But it was a boot store, and they sold Western clothes, shirts, and stuff like that. Right. But they left the lights on all the time in the evening when they had to leave the lights on so they could tell if anybody was stealing the boots off the wall.
Of course.
But it started out as that, and as we went on with our story there, they turned the lights off and knocked the walls out and made more room and all that kind of stuff to sort of support what was happening.
Well, so things eventually caught on. You met Chuck Mead. You formed Br5-49. We're going to explore that story more in the second half hour. But you are a solo artist now, and you're out there with a brand new record. It's called My Old Guitar. This is a song called 5 Years in One. It's Gary Bennett on the Woodsongs, Old Time Radio.
Our last week together began 1 year ago, right to the day. Still a young woman and man, but the Lord came to take you away. It's been 51 weeks of hell, and I know I'm not taking this well. Friends come to see me and find emptiness inside a shell. Smoking and drinking, ignoring the signs. I can't get far enough out of my mind. Saddest thing is I've got no will to climb. And I know I've aged 5 years and one. I know I've aged 5 years and one. Oh Lord, I wish I could just give a damn. She'd hate to see me how I am. Look, there's the bride and the groom. You know I still hear people say how their love could light up the room. Up till the very last day. Now the only smile I can find is hanging up there on the wall. All that I once thought I had, gone with one telephone call. Smoking and drinking, ignoring the signs. I can't get far enough out of my mind. Saddest thing is I've got no will to climb. And I know I've aged 5 years and one. I know I've aged 5 years and one. Lord, I know I've aged 5 years and one.
Model Guitar is a brand new CD by Gary Bennett. We're going to be back with Gary in the second half hour. We're going to introduce his entire band. We've also got Molly O'Brien and Rich Moore, songs from their new CD, Saints and Sinners. So much more music to go, and we'll be back right after this.
You're listening to Woodsongs show number 602, broadcasting around the world from the historic city of Lexington.
If you would like to attend a Woodsongs broadcast when visiting Lexington, Kentucky, you can find reservation and show schedules on our website, woodsongs.com.